Hi everyone. For anyone who may not know me, my name is Catherine and I'm Dee's youngest child and only daughter. I'd like to thank you all for coming here today to help say goodbye to Mum. Obviously, I'd love to be up there. Not going to happen. And as Tig said, we have to deal with the circumstances we have, and that is we're not allowed in Queensland. And even gathering the New South Welshmen down here was difficult with all the rules. Mum was many things to many people. But no matter who she was, she had qualities that I admire, and I still aspire to having or growing a few more of them in my lifetime. So cross fingers. Whether she was a mother, wife, grandmother, friend, Mum was always a true lady, and I think those are a real dying breed. A genuine person, she greeted everyone with a beaming smile and instantly made you feel welcome. A great trait to have, but you'd be mistaken to think that she was ever a pushover. In her 86 years, she had 30 extraordinary years living a single gal's life, gallivanting around the globe with her extensive network of girlfriends before she became a dedicated wife and mother. And it's almost like she hit that pause button and put all her time and effort into us kids for the 20 years before she managed to hit that play button again and get on with travelling around the world with friends. Of course, to me, Mum was my whole world. As kids, Mum always believed that we should have hobbies and sports and interests, and she threw herself into getting us interested in sports and would turn up to anything to show her support whenever she could. So whether it was the boys' football every Saturday, or sailing on the river, or playing tennis as a family, or my gymnastics on horse riding, Dee was always so committed was she that I never forget the time when I used to do one day events with my horse at Pony Club. And I'd just finished dressage, and she had been driven off in the back of a utility truck. And I wondered, what are they doing with my mother? And they had taken her off to man one of the jumps or one of the logs or ditches or creeks as an official. She was there to count how many times our horses would balk at this jump because it all clocked up to what points you got for the score. And I didn't see her until the afternoon event, show jumping. And it was just hilarious seeing her packed up with all the other parents in the back of this ute getting carried across across the paddock in the countryside. Mum showed love with a lot of acts of service, lots of little things. It's just the little things, you remember. And she made those things special. She made Christmas special every year. So Dad, he would take us out to pick up a Christmas tree, but we wouldn't go and buy one, no. We'd go into this empty farm and we'd pick out a tree and he'd climb up and we'd get a 6-foot tree and lug it on top of the car and drag it back into the house, and the family would then proceed to decorate this tree. In parallel, Dee would be making the Alaskan bomb. Now, this became quite a famous Christmas dessert for Dee, and she perfected it over 15 years because making it was part of the journey. It wasn't just about the bomb at the end. And I can remember she experimented and cut out the sugar and over the years then she added raspberry coulis, which was awesome because it just set the whole dish off. And anyway, it was became just as famous as her bomb. And every year almost we managed to get a photo of Dee with the lights turned out, the bomb on fire, and Dee proudly carrying out this huge flaming dessert. And it was just a beauty, a delight to see. Another little funny story about Dee, it's a special way she used to do things. I was coming out of the school gates one afternoon with my friends. Usually our mums picked us up. It was a cul-de-sac, so you had to drive down, pick up your kid, turn around in the cul-de-sac and head off again. Well, on this occasion, my friends, we're walking along having a chinwag, and all of a sudden my friends point and look, and up the road they can see this middle-aged lady in a summer frock with sandals on a push bike, heading towards us. And yep, you guessed it. It was Mum. It was Dee. And I saw her, and all of our drawers dropped to the floor, and she didn't stop. As she passed by, she didn't stop the bike. She said, "Okay, Catherine, just riding down here to tell you that the car's broken down and you're going to have to make your own way home or walk." And then she turned around at the end of the cul-de-sac and proceeded to ride back home. I mean, it was hilarious. Even my friends, they said, What said your mother? What is she doing? Why didn't she just call our mum and they could have told you?" But see, that was the kind of person she was. She wanted to make sure that she got the message firsthand. She didn't want to rely on someone else. She didn't want to rely that the school actually got the message to me. She wanted to make sure that I did get that message and that I got home safely. So, I mean, that's pretty awesome. But moving on to some more stoic memories, Mum didn't always have it easy. I'm sure she felt quite alone at times. And after Pater died, she had to work things out for herself. She basically went from having a wife and 3 kids, a horse, a dog on a big family home, to being on her own. And she faced this head on and managed it accordingly. And it was really odd that I'd gone overseas after 1989, after Dad had died, and I came back. She'd moved house. I didn't even know. She didn't even tell me. So there she was. She'd set up, downsized, moved in the city, and started her new life again. Empty nester. I mean, being a dedicated wife and mum hadn't exactly set her up to enter the workforce at 50, what have you. But she managed, and she dealt with it all without complaint. She taught us to be tough and told us not to let the bastards get you down, and she certainly led by example. But one of the most important things about Mum was that she was always there when you needed her, and she had this way of comforting you when the chips were down. And one of the most memorable things was that she said to me, "If you ever need a bed or a roof over your head, you've always got one here." And that absolutely meant the world to me. So once again, Dee was a single gal, and she hit the play button, connected with friends. She never lost connection with her friends. She always maintained those relationships. And she started to travel and do the world again with, new friends. Maybe not the ones that she did it with back in her 30s, but new friends nonetheless. It's just a little unfortunate that over time, her body started to wear out and couldn't keep up with it all. And the last few years were very challenging for Dee, and I was privileged to spend 2 months with her last year. As much as we want her to stay in our lives forever, it's never real. It was time. We wanted peace for her, and now she has peace. And I ask everyone to remember Dee as the beautiful, strong, compassionate, and independent woman that she truly was. Thank you.